His wife likes to be entertained, and what she likes to be entertained by is young, lithe, well-endowed black men. So they'll come over 2 or 3 at a time to do the deed.
Are you being serious right now? Like, this is current?
To do the deed.
Okay.
And then they always just use that as an opportunity to case the house and break in and steal the guy's stuff later.
So is like that an inside job or no? Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Every Day's a Train Wreck. I'm Marley Majcher, your host, and look who I've got. My playmate, my scary playmate, Nils Grevillius. Okay, Nils is traveling tomorrow, but he's so nice. He said he would run over here into the fabulous worldwide studios of Every Day's a Train Wreck. And guess what we're going to talk about? I don't want to get it wrong. Exclusive from Daily Mail, Spy World Panic, as Tulsi Gabbard prepares to unleash bombshell file dumps on secret CIA mind control project and Dr. Fauci. Okay, so Nils, we are live with you here. Would you please talk to us about, is this whole CIA mind control thing real? Why is Tulsi Gabbard involved? Like, are they implying that, what's his name, Fauci is, like, in mind control? Like, give us the dirt, because this is kind of going along the lines of, like, all this UFO stuff that everybody's talking about. So, fill us in.
Well, Marley, I am not privy to what Director Gabbard is about to release.
Okay, well, Nils, if you were privy...
What I would say is I'm going to answer your question with not a rhetorical question, but an expositive question. Is it not in the interests of CIA to have the ability to control the minds of groups of people and individuals?
Well, it's my best interest too. Isn't it technically in everybody's best interest to be able to control people's minds?
Does not Madison Avenue spend hundreds of millions of dollars every decade in learning new ways to control the behavior of people, whether it's to buy things, to avoid buying things, to change habits? When everybody decided it was time to quit smoking, did not our government launch a PSYOP directed against everyone? They could have outlawed tobacco, but they did not. Instead, they enlisted Madison Avenue and launched a mind control war against us.
Okay, so pause. What is a PSYOP, first of all? Because let's just bring it down. It's later in the day for me. Please define. What is
a psychological operation?
Got it. Okay, thank you. Okay, so don't forget, everybody, that Nils is like the real private guy, so he does actually have the lingo. Okay, so let me ask you something. So when I was in middle school, and you have to do all these like reports and stuff like with a pencil and on actual paper, and mine was about the advertising industry. And at the time there were like, ice cubes, and they'd say there was the devil and the ice cubes and all these like phantom images and stuff. Is that kind of what you're talking about, where you're saying they are like subliminally getting people to do things? Is the government really involved with Madison Avenue? Like clarify what you're saying, first of all.
The government has been hiring Madison Avenue since Madison Avenue and the government coexisted. It goes back a long way. And it's not just Madison Avenue, it's also Hollywood. There's a lot of consanguinity between Hollywood and Central Intelligence Agency. There was a man named DeVore who went missing in, I think, 1999 or 1998, coming back from a road trip. And his next project was to do an expositive on the involvement of the CIA in Hollywood, and the CIA using Hollywood and television and cinema to control the behavior of people in countries other than our own and potentially our own nation.
Okay, so by the way, if we disappear, neither one of us is suicidal. It's not today. And then, we're like...
Well, Gary DeVore was found a year after he went missing, inverted in his Ford Explorer in the California aqueduct.
Okay, well, who is Gary DeVore, first of all? Like, is he just like random guy, or is he like...
No, he's a film producer, well-connected in Hollywood, and he has kind of a cult following on the internet with a lot of people believing that the CIA kidnapped him. I happen to believe he drove off the road in the middle of the night and baptized himself in the California aqueduct in a place that was particularly murky, and it took more than a year to find him and his car.
Okay, so you do not think there's any CIA corruption with that one?
I don't think the CIA did him, But I think the CIA had it in their interest to suppress whatever it was that he was about to do.
Okay.
The other thing I'm going to posit to you is what if the CIA, in an effort to blunt the public perception of something so that it becomes unclear as to what the capability is or is not, reaches out to the crazier people in fringe media,
right,
and tells them things that are outrageous,
okay,
so that it gets spread all over the place and it confuses what the capability is and what the capability is not. With the broad public saying maybe it is, maybe it isn't, the person saying this is clearly crazy.
Okay, and so are you saying they do that then so that just to confuse everybody so we really don't know what they're capable of versus what they're not capable of?
Maybe they do. That's how it's looked to me for a long time.
Okay.
When they want to confuse a problem, to take the onus off of them or to confuse the public and therefore our enemies as well as to what our real capabilities are, why not pump out a bunch of crazy things like, what if we have a hyperspace vehicle that can go 15,000 times the speed of sound?
Got
it. And so somebody goes like Whitley Strieber will go on Coast to Coast AM in the wee small hours and say, oh, I've talked to a reliable government source who tells me this and tells me that.
Who's Whitley Strieber?
Whitley Strieber wrote a book called, I think it was Communion, wherein he claimed to have been abducted by a UFO alien or something like that.
Okay.
He was kind of a cause celeb 30 years ago. I don't even know if Whitley Strieber is still alive, but I'm using that as an example. If it's in the interest of a government agency to deflect, to dilute, to obfuscate, to confuse, it is in their interest to reach out with false information, not real information.
Okay, I'm glad that we covered all the synonyms there of obfuscate. Okay, so let me ask you a question then. Is this a little bit like when you and I talk like in layman's terms when we talk about like sending smoke signals upriver?
Yes.
So it's like we can go to Julianne or something and then be over her talking about something and then, you know, everybody thinks I'm a size 0.
That is correct.
Okay, so so they could have used this poor gentleman, or he could have been like on the inside, and then he starts running his mouth saying, oh, the United States has like what you're saying, like this supersonic alien capability to do this and jump up and down. And then potentially then other governments are going to go, oh my gosh, maybe they do have this. Like maybe we should be scared.
That is correct.
Okay. And do you, and I know you're going to yell when you hear this question, but do you really think that happens? Like, you really think that they are actually trying to kind of start their own rumors?
There's an MOS in the United States military called 35 Whiskey, Psychological Warfare Specialist. And they operate out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
What is a 35 Whiskey?
That's the MOS, military occupational specialty of a psychological warfare specialist. So if our U.S. Army has an overtly identified psychological warfare program, does it not stand to reason that CIA would have the same thing?
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe at a national level rather than a military level.
Okay.
Now, has the CIA ever hesitated to operate within the borders of this nation when it's in the interests of that agency or potentially in the interests of our nation?
Well, I mean, that's like a you question. Don't look at the party planner for that.
Okay. Their charter forbids them to conduct human intelligence operations within our borders.
Right.
But I don't think they hesitate to do it.
Okay.
I think they do what they think they have to do and do it, and then they do it, and then it gets done.
Okay, so because if something's supposed to happen in our country, it's supposed to be the FBI, right?
Potentially.
But aren't they kind of always in a fight, like the FBI and the CIA?
Well, that's what they'll tell you. They have different areas of interest, and they're supposed to share information with each other on a legal basis.
Yeah.
Sometimes that sharing of information fails.
Yeah.
Like before 9/11, neither the CIA nor the FBI could foresee 9/11.
Yeah.
And they were so blind and inept to it with an enormous budget that people became so skeptical that they came to believe CIA was involved in it.
Right. Okay.
Now, CIA can also milk that. They can make it look like, look how powerful we are. We can wage war on aspects of the American economy if we absolutely have to. That doesn't mean that they say that overtly. They
Right.
might feed that to the crazier fringe elements to make those people even crazier.
So it's
even
like what
less
we do,
stable.
sending the
Yes.
smoke signals.
Right,
We're in like a
exactly.
place where we know we're in Pasadena.
To
everybody's
obfuscate what their real goal is, what they're really up to, that sort of thing. I'm not terribly impressed with CIA at well, CIA has gotten better with Director Gabbard running the whole thing,
Okay.
but they went from being an operations heavy organization in the 70s with Jimmy Carter and Stansfield Turner firing 700 covert operatives in one night, Halloween 1977, and turning it from an operations heavy organ
Yeah.
into an analysis heavy organ. In other words, they got rid of all the jockstrap
Oh my
commandos,
goodness. Oh yes.
and they brought in all the assholes in striped pants with, underwater basket weaving degrees from, Yale and Princeton.
Let's go back to Ms. Gabbard. I have to use my glasses for this because I'm truly going blind. Okay, so because this is where I get all of my news, of course, is the Daily Mail. So by the way, do you agree that the British press is way better at scooping than we are?
They're better at certain things, but they're intensely vulnerable to exploitation by our national security organs also.
Okay, because I always think that
we don't have an official secrets act. They do. Mm-hmm. So when they get into national security things, it's in their interest to try to develop sources in this country rather than their own. Because if they report in the wrong way on national security in the United Kingdom, they'll wind up on criminal charges.
Oh, got it.
Because they have an official secrets act.
Okay, I was more saying that Daily Mail is where I go when, I want to know the latest on the Beckham feud.
Is that the one with the bikini photos in it?
Okay, yes, it is.
Okay, good. Well, I mean, that's robust media, if you ask me.
Well,
but what the hell do I know?
Okay, listen, they do talk about the spy world in Tulsi Gabbard. So let's just say, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has a week left in office, but her enemies are bracing for a final act before she concludes her unique 16-month leadership that strained the intelligence community. Okay, her final bow, Daily Mail can reveal, is I already lost my place. Okay, it's expected to be the public release of secret intelligence documents surrounding COVID-19, gain-of-function research, and Anthony Fauci's cover-up of the pandemic. And she's also planning transparency surrounding the CIA's MK Ultra mind control program. It's no accident. She delayed her resignation by a month, blah, 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 blah. So do you think, did the CIA already know she was going to do this? Or is this kind of like, oh my, Tulsi Gabbard's coming out with this stuff? Or is it one of these things? They're sending smoke signals upriver again and Tulsi's going out, so why not have her handle it?
Elements within national security were always aware that Gabbard had within her imprimatur to make transparent things that had been remarkably opaque in the past.
What is imprimatur?
Well, it's like an order from on high. In other words, she wouldn't be doing this unless Donald Trump.
Oh, got it. Okay. Right. Okay, so then let's go back to, because I am kind of fascinated with this whole MK Ultra thing, and I want to make sure I have it right. So it says MK Ultra launched in the 50s, used psychedelic drugs. This is the part I'm very interested in. Psychedelic drugs, hypnosis, and electroshock therapy in pursuit of mind control techniques. Much of the documentary records were destroyed in 1972 when the guy ordered them shredded. Okay, now, is this whole thing about the mind control piece, isn't that where they were trying to control people and then have them draw the silos in Russia or something? Or is that something totally different? I thought there was something where they were training people to kind of be psychic or something.
They were always trying to do things like remote scientific viewing.
Oh, yeah. Is that what we're talking about or not?
Yes, that's some of that. And a lot of it's been lampooned in cinema and media, that sort of thing, as utterly worthless. And I share that opinion that it is mostly worthless.
That you can't train people to be psychic?
That is correct.
Okay, well, what about the astrologers that I have on here? You would not agree with that?
I like some astrologers. I have a very good friend who's an astrologer. It doesn't mean that I believe in it, though.
Okay, when is your birthday?
My birthday?
I don't need the year, Nils. Just when is your birthday?
29 February.
Okay, that's crazy. I didn't know it was the 29th. That's always when I wanted my birthday.
I'm just teasing.
okay. Well, when is it? Because I'm now like channeling how you're a Pisces. Okay. Well, when is your birthday?
22 March.
So you're an Aries then. Okay, you're right on the cusp.
I
probably.
guess I thought I was a Lobo, judging by my past history with women.
You're bossy is what you are. So that's why I think you're an Aries.
Really?
Okay.
Do you and I
fire
share
sign.
that?
Well, I'm a fire sign, just not an Aries. Okay. So it talks about biolabs in Ukraine and particularly sensitive documents. And she was, I didn't realize this, that Mitt Romney was saying that she was excoriated by Mitt Romney for parroting false Russian propaganda. So all this kind of stuff is tied together.
What would Mitt Romney know about false Russian propaganda?
I have not a damn clue, so you tell me.
Right, exactly. The man is flaccid on his best day. What can I say about Mitt Romney?
Okay. Well, can you just talk about in the context of why he is after Tulsi Gabbard with this?
Because he's an easy lay for the Democrats.
Oh.
He's going to do anything he can to deteriorate and soften the blow of this. As far as gain of function and Anthony Fauci, is this a program of the National Institute of Health, virology, or is this another special warfare program being overseen by the CIA? Would we necessarily want to sell shares in a program like that with a nation like China? I don't know.
Okay.
What it suggests to me is that Anthony Fauci was sort of running his own show because of regulation and oversight in the United States. He could do things in China that were impermissible here.
Oh, because they were like, okay, so now this is the question that I think a lot of people.
And then he misled the public and probably had the alliance and assistance of people within the national security apparatus to try to deteriorate the credibility of the Trump administration in 2020.
Okay. So, but pause, because this is the bridge that I genuinely do not understand at all, but you will, is what does the mind control component have to, like, how do you tie the mind control component with the 1950s component and like Anthony Fauci?
Well, everything is research, isn't it? So there's a particular way that you go about doing research in psychology and biology and that sort of thing.
Okay.
You have the blind, the double blind, etc. Right. You prove a theory or you disprove a theory, right, and then you back up and you go in another direction.
Right.
So you have decades of this sort of experimentation.
Right.
Okay. So when it gets into mind control, what if you use these techniques that have been perfected over the years of public relations, mm-hmm, of the media, mm-hmm, of public health guidelines, mm-hmm, and public health officials in white lab coats saying, this is an immediately fatal disease or potentially immediately fatal. You must stay home. Does that make you feel more secure or less secure as an American?
Yeah, got it, less secure.
Okay, so I'm going to point out there are 70,000 people living under the bridges and viaducts and in the alleys and dumpsters and refrigerator boxes of the city of Los Angeles.
Not the county, the city.
Just the city.
Okay.
They catch the clap. They catch the flu. They catch diphtheria. They catch colds.
Okay.
They catch typhus.
Okay.
They catch everything else.
Okay.
If COVID-19 was lethal in the way that it was characterized to us in 2020,
yeah,
those would be vast graveyards.
So did homeless people, I mean, I sound really stupid right now. I mean, not that I haven't.
They caught COVID-19 like everybody else caught COVID-19. The only people who died of COVID-19 were people with pre-existing conditions, whether they knew about them or not. Those who were vulnerable to respiratory viruses.
Okay.
So what was Anthony Fauci's purpose in covering up and obfuscating the involvement of National Institute of Health, Wuhan Virology Lab, etc.? Number one, he wanted to preserve his own credibility.
Okay.
Number two, he wanted to preserve the capability of engaging in this sort of experimentation with Chinese communist partners.
Okay.
Number three, he found himself in the catbird seat in the same way that he was during the Reagan era with the AIDS situation,
Okay.
in a position to pivot and make himself more valuable than he actually is. And then the same elements within our own government that had been trying to use psychological warfare to convince Americans that their president was a Russian asset, partnered with Fauci, whether knowingly or unknowingly on the part of Fauci. I lean toward Fauci knowing that he had become a foil and a tool of the CIA, NSA elements who wanted to do this. Now, how was this in Fauci's best interest? It accomplishes what it is that he wanted to accomplish. He gets to keep his credibility. He doesn't get prosecuted. He gets actually pardoned by Joe Biden on Mr. Biden's way out of office. He gets to keep all of his honorariums. He is worshipped by elements within this country for being a quote unquote scientist. Yes, he's a scientist, but he's also a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, if you ask me.
Okay, so wait a second. So what I want to clarify though. So what you're saying is he was doing this research in China because he couldn't get away with doing it in the US.
Potentially,
okay,
yes.
Okay, potentially. Do you think though that he thought it was going to get as big as it was and the whole thing was going to blow up? Because to me, I almost think that he didn't think it was like that the light was going to be turned back on him and he would just do his research and do what he wanted to do.
I think that's correct. And then when the virus got out,
right, and then it was like,
and it was beyond his control, he had to do something to mitigate what had occurred. So he makes nice with Donald Trump to the extent that he goes to the press conferences and then they come up with this thing of, no, it came from the wet markets of Asia. It's not a lab leak. And it became anathema on social media to say that this was a Chinese virus. It was a Chinese virus. You could lose your job. You could lose your medical license if you didn't go along with the protocols of all this.
So he was doing this thing and then
hang on, let me finish.
Okay.
Is this not the hallmark of an operation? Fulcrum and lever to move people in a particular direction and exert complete control? Now, who benefited from it? Clearly, someone benefited from it, and the people who benefited from it was a political faction. They got to overthrow the presidency and give the presidency to an empty vessel who would do whatever that it is that they wanted done.
Okay, so that goes to my question. So you think
that's what Tulsi Gabbard's going to expose? Thank you.
Oh, wow. Okay, there you go. Okay, well, okay. So I think you know this, like, obviously way better than I do. I mean, there's no surprise there.
No, I'm feeling in the dark, and this is looking at the information and learning what to ignore, most importantly.
Okay.
And not allowing myself to be swayed by the psyop is what has kept me crystal clear on this. Back during the psyop, there are people who wanted me to come on and talk about COVID-19 in 2020, 2021. What are they doing right? Should we be marrying? I'm a detective. I don't care about that stuff. And I'm not going to give it oxygen. And they all gave it oxygen.
Got it. Okay. So I guess, my question I go back to, and you might have already answered this and I'm just challenged, is, in your opinion, did they set out to have it like overtake the world kind of how it did, or just it was a fire that got too big?
It's hard to say what their real intent was.
Yeah. Well, that's what
I think their intent was to do virology research on gain of function to make weapons pathogens.
Okay.
And they lost control of that. And then to mitigate it, they had a byproduct, and the byproduct was the fear.
Got it.
Did you ever see 28 Days Later, the movie?
I don't think so.
With Cillian Murphy.
Okay.
So one of the laboratory idiots where the left-wing communist activists are in freeing the chimpanzees who are infected with the pathogen that blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
One of them asks the laboratory guy, so what is it that they're infected with? And he cringes and he says they're infected with rage. Okay, so what were we infected with?
Okay.
Were you infected with a pathogen that killed you? No.
Okay.
You were infected with the fear of your neighbors. You were infected with the suspicion that your government couldn't protect you.
Got it.
You were infected with the idea that if you did this and you did that and you obeyed this group of people, your life would be okay and they'd take care of you. And it made you more dependent rather than less dependent.
Okay, so on the eve of America's 250th birthday, do you think that because I think pretty much everybody would agree, everything is pretty divided right now. Do you think that like really made the divisiveness greater?
It made the divisiveness off the charts greater. I think we're more united now than we were in 2020, 2021. That's for sure.
Okay. So, yeah, I hadn't really thought of that until then. Okay. Does this go in the same category of like where they say that the government can make it rain?
The government, if the government could make it rain, it could only do so figuratively. And let me explain that.
Okay.
If it rained, they would say, we made it rain.
Okay, yeah.
If it didn't rain when they said they were going to make it rain, they would say you're not entitled to rain.
Okay.
Because it's in the interest of the people in our government to make themselves appear benevolent and powerful and blameless all at once.
That's kind of every government, though, right?
Of course it's every government, okay? We get the government that we can least afford, but that which we most deserve.
Okay.
So what we have here is a government that is always trying to justify its own existence. So during the summer of love in 2020 with the George Floyd riots and all that, the role of your police became not protecting you or protecting you from the marauding elements looting and burning and vandalizing and attacking people. The role of the police became to genuflect while they protected the suits at the top from the consequences of American politics. And there was a big shuffle of power within one of the big political parties as to who was going to rule that party. Is it going to be the good government Democrats, or is it going to be the capering Jacobin shit-flinging monkeys of the hard left?
Okay. All righty.
I don't want to overstate it, though.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go. So the government can make it rain, or they can't? They can't seed clouds.
Yes, they won't. No, they can't.
Okay, come on, dude. Okay, so can they seed clouds?
They can try to seed clouds and occasionally get a positive result. Let me put it to you this way. If they were capable of doing it to some benevolent effect, they would go to war on every time. Every time it dries out here in California, it is in the interest of the West Coast to have all of that rain that we need. The government is going to step into action, and we're all going to pay for it and look at this magnificent rain, right?
Yeah.
But they can't do that.
Okay.
We're talking about the same people who can't get your mail delivered correctly, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Is the government an idea, or is a government comprised of the people that enjoy employment with a W-2 situation? Is that our government?
Okay.
I love my nation. Often I'm kind of conflicted about my government.
Okay. So back to where we started with the Madison Avenue stuff.
Right.
So Madison Avenue, like, how sinister is the government's involvement with Madison Avenue? Like, do they use it ever for kind of just fluffy stuff like, oh, let's get Americans to eat less fat?
All the time.
Okay. So it is a mixed bag. It isn't just like completely only sinister.
Let's get people to stop smoking tobacco.
Okay.
And it goes from 47% in 1988 to 11% in 2026.
Right. Except that they tried to do that with the war on drugs, and I thought drugs
They didn't do an effective job on it, number one. Number two, there were other elements of the government that were looking in the other way while their Central American partners imported vast amounts of narcotics and cocaine into this country to fund paramilitary operations in Latin America.
Okay. Now, speaking of drugs, another thing that's happening in Los Angeles, which is, okay, MacArthur Park, for you guys who know LA, is disgusting. I mean, it's really bad. But they have these very, very fun looking swan floats that I'm sort of attracted to. But now it's all of a sudden like we're now going to take the drug dealers out of MacArthur Park. I mean, you wouldn't go near MacArthur Park to save your life, right? So do you think they're going to accomplish anything with now all these raids? Like, I mean, how are they ever going to clean any of that up?
It still has to be done. It's reduced the number of fentanyl overdoses significantly.
It has, for real?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Oh.
At the height of it, we were losing 8 people every single day to narcotics overdose in Los Angeles County.
And then
8 people. It made it so the coroner's office had a 10-month backlog on
real?
toxicology reports. Yes.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
I went to lunch with a friend at the Water Grill in downtown Los Angeles on her birthday in 2022. And when I left the Water Grill, there was a traffic accident on the on-ramp to the North 110, and I had to stop next to the gore point to get out of my car for a moment.
What's a gore point?
It's that point of land, often with a guardrail that's pointed. And so that's called a gore point. Sometimes you can drive over a gore point illegally, if there's no guardrail.
Okay.
And I looked over the gore point because there was a big profusion of black flies, and there were 2 dead bodies in between the guardrails. Based on the condition of deterioration, they'd been dead at least for 2 days in one of the busiest parts of downtown.
And nobody noticed.
I noticed.
Well, I mean, other than you, we know you noticed.
Right.
But then what'd you do? Did you call the coroner?
Well, I called 911, and it got routed through to LAPD, and LAPD asked me to not drive off, so I secured the scene long enough for them to get there. But it was obvious narcotic overdose. So yes, we have a huge problem with it. If you don't wage war on drugs, you get more drug deaths. Now, I like the Donald Trump version of the war on drugs far more than the George Bush version. When I see a narco boat get smoked by a drone or a Hellfire missile or a attack helicopter, I don't get any qualms. I don't get all conflicted or anything. I don't get poop up my neck about it. I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that war on drugs far more. Now, if we've got foreign transnational terrorist gangs selling narcotics and cocaine in Los Angeles, like MS-13, 18th Street, etc., some of them are American with foreign parents. Some of them, are second and third generation now. Yes, absolutely, we should be scooping them up. And the more connected they are, working them over. We should also be doing things like the other day, somebody from Trinidad got smoked in Venezuela.
Yeah.
That is a perfect use of our resources to mitigate this problem.
Okay, do you have any idea how big MacArthur Park is? Because it looks huge to me.
I don't know the square acreage or anything like that. It was originally called Westlake Park, and there's still a part of it that is called Westlake Park. It runs like 2.5 blocks. It's a beautiful park. It has, a lake or a pond or whatever.
With the swans.
With the swans. I would love it to be cleaned up. I would like nothing more.
Yeah.
And I think it should be cleaned up. And I think it's an ugly, gross sin. You'll notice it's the feds doing this. And it's because the people running the city of Los Angeles don't want it cleaned up.
What?
Those gangsters and the Salvadoran gangsters moving the narcotics have equity in city government.
Got it. So how many drug dealers do you think are in that area?
Big drug dealers or retail,
I don't know, just kind of anybody. Like it's because
on any given day there are 30 men or women serving retail narcotics down in that park. 30
What?
In the area around the park, in the park, etc. And they fight for terror. They pay tax, street tax to the bigger dealer who operates that restaurant and store next to the.
Oh yeah.
Right. I had a whole thing from a guy who 30 years ago was a disbarred attorney who had been a Navy fighter pilot and was a crackhead. He got disbarred because of his crack addiction. And he gave me a whole thing when I was in police academy, and I wrote a paper on it, how he had to borrow a car from a female and have the female drive him, and they would dress in business clothing, and everything in the car had to be perfect. The registration, insurance, driver's license, all had to have the same address. And they would drive down there and act as if they were down there to transact real estate or church business or something like that.
Yeah.
And he would buy like 5 condoms full of nickel rocks for a black gang operating in Northwest Pasadena.
What?
Yes, he would buy like a half a kilo at a time of pre-prepared crack, prepackaged crack, which was easier for the street dealers to sell. But he was buying it from the Salvadorans.
Okay, everything comes back to Pasadena.
Coat and tie, like he's a businessman, and he was a disbarred attorney. He's dead now. He died of a drug overdose about 15 years ago.
So is there anything good going on in MacArthur Park or no? Like, are there any like genuine like families with picnics or
no, nothing. It all it is an open air bazaar of narcotics and fencing stolen property and prostitution and things like that.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And the people running the city know what it is. They know what's going on there. The Rampart Division of LAPD knows how violent it is. And the suits at City Hall have told them to allow it to occur.
Okay. All right. Now, question for you. You were at a book signing today, which I must say you did crush it. And you did a talk.
Uh-huh.
And I was talking about our potential new project, which we have.
Behind the Rose Bush?
Behind the Rose Bush, the secrets we're never supposed to tell, and with Mr. Joe Cornett. But one of the guys, I was telling one of the guys at your thing today about our project, and I was like, oh, everything goes, people don't realize how much goes on in Pasadena, whatever. And then he freaking tells me that Sirhan is from Pasadena. Did you
lived on Howard Street over just off of Fair Oaks Avenue.
But that's Pasadena.
I went to high school with Sirhan's cousin.
No, you did not. For real.
For real.
Well, how did that never come up when we were making our laundry lists of like famous people from Pasadena?
Sirhan bought his revolver that he killed Bobby Kennedy with at Lock, Stock, and Barrel at Rosemead and Huntington, right next to the Northwoods Inn.
That's
the woman who ran that store was so tired of conspiracy theorists coming in demanding to know if she knew Sirhan that she put a photostatic copy of his 4473 on the wall to satisfy their idiotic curiosity.
What is a 4473?
It's a form you fill out when you buy a purchase.
Why do you say idiotic? I'm exactly that person that would go.
You are not. You're not. I'm talking about people who would call her a liar and things
Oh. Yeah, I would go just to be like, oh, I'm in front of.
Right.
Okay. All right. Okay, so then, I mean, Julia Child is from Pasadena. We all know him. Erica Jane, the whole Tom Girardi thing, Pasadena.
Really?
What do you think is the first Pasadena kind of scandal we're going to talk about? That's a loaded question because we have so many. We're coming for you.
Pasadena has a reputation as being kind of a squeaky clean city. And I have always loved the story of the grotesque Dirty Raincoat pornography theater in the 70s that was on Fair Oaks Avenue at Holly Street called the Oaks Theater.
Ooh, okay.
And they tore it down in 76 to build that second Parsons office building.
Okay, yeah.
The man whose name was on the deed and, paperwork for the theater was a guy named Harold Wensler. And one night, Mr. Wensler and his wife went to pick up the day's receipts from the Dirty Raincoat Theater. This was before VHS and the internet and all that. So Two men with shotguns braced him on Holly Street. They beat him almost to death with the butts of their shotguns to quote unquote rob him. And he died of pneumonia, sepsis, like a week later in the Huntington Hospital.
Okay.
And so it's ruled death by natural causes. And then in the ensuing probate of his estate, it was determined that the actual owner of the theater was the mayor, Don Yonkaitis.
Oh, jeez. Okay. So
that's a beauty.
That is a beauty. The guy that you're friends with, is it Victor Cass?
Mm-hmm.
Is a former Pasadena police guy who had a podcast. And then we're interviewing him in a couple weeks. Super excited. Thank you for that connection. But one of his podcasts, because it was all about like the little lady who died in Pasadena, something along those lines. And there's this like one thing of the woman in Pasadena or whatever who had the Chinese chef back in the day. And it was like, who knew that it was supposedly super bougie to have like a Chinese chef, and it was very hard to, which was very coveted. This chef was very coveted, and then somehow somebody gets killed, and he covers this in his. I'm like, how? Like some of these things are still unsolved. It sounds just like a lot of freaking stuff goes on here. We know everybody has affairs, but right? I mean, not you, of course. All right. Well,
I really do owe them a deep debt of gratitude for the decades of job security.
Well, that's right, because Nils, private investigator to the stars, and to Marley Majcher, right?
No, anything that could happen in Pasadena typically does happen. Now, I happen to know about a guy who gets robbed every year and a half or so, who lives, in the vicinity of the Rose Bowl in a nice, expensive house.
It's not Tom Girardi.
He gets robbed. It's not Tom, but
okay.
it's somebody else. He's a professional, and he has a problem. And what his problem is, his wife likes to be entertained, and what she likes to be entertained by is young, lithe, well-endowed black men. So they'll come over 2 or 3 at a time to do the deed. Are you
being serious right now? Like, this is current?
To do the deed.
Okay.
And then they always just use that as an opportunity to case the house and break in and steal the guy's stuff later.
So is like that an inside job or no?
Well, it's not it's an inside job to the extent that he's a cock and a voyeur, and that his wife enjoys this sort of attention, and he enjoys her enjoying the attention.
Okay, well, what I'm trying to figure out
so that's an example of the kind of crap that goes on in Pasadena. And Cornette knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I definitely do not.
And when the camera is off and the microphone has gone to bed for the night, I will whisper in dear Marley's ear a name, and she'll...
I can't bring it. Well, yeah, because now I'm dying to... Because that was the whole thing about, like, Tom Girardi before he went crazy, supposedly.
This is what I'll tell you about Tom Girardi.
Okay.
15 years ago, a big plaintiff attorney whom I knew in the Midwest rather well says to me, Nils, I'm going to introduce you to Girardi. He's the greatest plaintiff lawyer in the United States. He will have heavy need of a private detective of your stripe. I was skeptical, but I agreed to meet with Girardi. We all went to Les Petites Fours on Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, wow, bougie.
Right. And Tom Girardi was over there, and this guy was in from the Midwest. I like the guy from the Midwest. He's a good lawyer, nice guy. And we're sitting there, and Girardi is sort of drinking his coffee, and he looks over his coffee at me, and he asks me, so how much do you bill per hour? Without really having much of a conversation. And I gave him my hourly rate. I can't remember now if it was $1,000 an hour or $100 an hour. It was, I gave him my hourly rate. And he says, bums like you are all the same. Mm-hmm. I don't really have need for men like you. If I pay any of them anything, it's usually about $35 an hour. But you're all interchangeable pretty much.
Oh, well, there you go.
And I said, well, that's good. I didn't really need you as a client. But this has been an interesting discussion. And on the way out, my friend from the Midwest is very apologetic. He said, I had no idea that he had such a bad attitude about the whole thing. I just couldn't have foreseen this. Mm-hmm. And I said, what he's telling you is that none of his cases have anything to do with anything factual. He doesn't need anything solved. All he is doing is operating on opportunities of law and vulnerable clients.
Yeah, something we know something about, right?
Right. And so because of his influences, Girardi was able to stave off the State Bar of California for better than 2 decades, while many small operator attorneys found themselves disbarred for the simple act of borrowing $5,000 or $10,000 from a client who was actually an old friend or family member.
Got it.
So, yeah, Tom Girardi is a colossal piece of flotsam and jetsam, and that's all I'm going to say about the man.
Yeah, well, the whole reason I brought it up was just because there was a whole thing of like when he was kind of going nuts and going into the bankruptcy stuff, and then supposedly like one of these little windows in his house just happened to be left open, and then they came in and got all the valuable jewelry in and out of that.
Maybe. And maybe it was set up, and Girardi probably got the same advice that Sheriff Baca got from the same person, to pretend to have Alzheimer's before he had Alzheimer's, as a means of deflecting actual authentic responsibility, remorse, culpability, anything else, consequences for his own criminal behavior. Okay. And I know who gave them that advice. It'd be no less a lawyer than Mark Garagos.
Oh, boy. Okay. All right. Well, we are going to do something on your whole, like how to know if you're a psychopath or how to know who is a psychopath, and like Luigi Mangione and why all these women fall in love with all these kind of crazy killers.
He's an exciting guy.
Okay. Listen, you're an exciting guy. So you guys, we're going to wrap this up at the moment with our boy Nils Grevillius, because he's got to get to a very important event, and I promised him a heart out.
Pockets to pick and people to intimidate.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much. So anyway, watch out for our Behind the Rose Bush, the stories we were never supposed to tell, because that's coming. And Nils and I did not plan to be so mismatched, but if you're not watching this on our YouTube channel, The Prophet Goddess, you must. And if you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe, you like, comment on the podcast, and most importantly, share it with your super sleuth friend or somebody in Pasadena who just likes the dirt. Right? Right?
It's fantastic. Fine idea.
Okay, fine idea. Thank you, Nils.
Nah.
All right, you guys. We'll see you next week. This is Marley Majcher signing off on Every Day's a Train Wreck. Bye, Nils.